I have your opening words today, which actually come from Osho, a Indian Enlightenment thinker. It is said that before entering the sea, a river trembles with fear. She looks back at the path she has traveled from the peaks of the mountains, the long winding road crossing forests and villages. And in front of her, she sees an ocean so vast that to enter there seems nothing more than to disappear forever. But there is no other way. The river cannot go back. Nobody can go back. To go back is impossible in existence. The river needs to take the risk of entering the ocean, because only then will fear disappear. Because that's where the river will know. It's not about disappearing into the ocean, but of becoming the ocean.
Hello, everyone. So, who's ready to listen to me nerd out about the water cycle for a bit? So, this water is older than the earth. It's older than the sun. It's older than we can really understand. The oxygen formed from the death of a star in the aftermath of a cosmic explosion, long before our own star would collapse from the remains and take light. Skipping ahead a while, we arrive at 4.5 billion years ago, and we have the newly formed Earth, a still glowing crucible of fire and rock, a place so hot that even stone was vapor falling from the sky. Just as things were starting to cool off, we have another nearly finished body, a stellar sibling drawn down too close by our greater gravity. It crashes into the earth, the sky, another planet as it descends and becomes part of our molten surface. A cataclysmic collision which gave us our moon. And out of all of this chaos, out of all of this creation, something truly astonishing happened. We had water. That in itself is truly a miracle, because by all accounts, we shouldn't have water where we are. Our planet formed too close to the sun. It is the so-called dry zone, where the light elements are stripped away by the winds of the sun. Look at Mercury, Venus, Mars, all of our neighbors, barren, dry, stripped of water. Earth should have shared that same fate, but we didn't. And here we are with oceans of liquid water covering more than 70% of our surface. Truly astonishing that we have water. So, where did it come from then? The answer is both complicated and wondrous, as so many things in space and science are. We know that the water formed in space, but how did it get here? Some of it rode in on meteorites, ancient space rocks called chondrites, the water locked away in their very minerals. Some of it drifted in on cosmic dust, kissed by the solar wind, landing gracefully and not so gracefully on our surface. Protons streaming out from the sun met oxygen remaining, the stardust left from our creation, holding tight to each other, they formed water that was delivered in the smallest of droplets. Imagine that, sunlight transformed into water. All of this fell to earth, into the oceans of magma. There, the hydrogen and the oxygen held on, torn apart, brought back together again, only to be bubbled out as steam. As the planet cooled, it condensed into seas. 40 million years of rain. And those first seas were superheated. They were held under the intense atmosphere, hundreds of times thicker than today. But slowly, so slowly, those boiling, steaming seas cooled until we had liquid water across our surface. And that is where it has stayed ever since. Still apart and upon our earth. It is the water that we drink. It is the water that we share today. Our oceans are a mingling of cosmic rivers, some heavy with ancient hydrogen and oxygen, some as light as sunlight itself, all mixed together to become one. So, water isn't the only thing that makes our planet a little bit different, admittedly. It is also what made it possible for life to be here. Life, as far as we know, anyways, requires nothing more than water and energy. Every living being, every breath of green, every one of us sitting here today is stitched together by water. We are mostly water. It flows through our bloods. It is most of our cells. It carries our thoughts with electrical impulses. We are walking oceans, little bags of mostly water. Across human history, people have known this to be true. We built our very first communities around water, our first cities along rivers. We marked our calendars by the flooding of the Nile, the Tigris, and the Ganges. The sacred texts and rituals all around the world, water cleanses, it heals, rebirths. It is the source of all life. To this day, we baptize with it, bless it, anoint it, and before we ever knew air, we were swimming in the womb, a holdover of the first waterborne ancestors who emerged from those oceans so very long ago. When words fall short, water speaks in drips, in dribbles, trickles, and torrents, in the gentle rain as much as the fearsome hurricane. And for all of these billions of years, water has been our constant teacher. It teaches patience, carving canyons out of solid stone, wearing down the tallest of mountains into sand, the shaping of every coast into a fractal of ever-changing erosion. It teaches humility, always seeking the lowest place, the valleys, the basins, the puddle in the pond, and yet it can stretch from horizon to horizon. It teaches connection. Rivers flowing together, drops condensing together, merging on a glass, each drop, even when separate, still a part of the whole. It's all water. And it teaches us the lesson of return. It is never truly gone, only ever changing, transformed in its endless rising and falling, vapor and condensation. It seeps into aquifers and rests there for millennia, only to be brought back through crack or turn of a faucet. Even locked deep in the earth, the water keeps our continents afloat, returning to the surface once again in molten rock, echoing its first arrival in fire and steam. Spiritually, water is a paradox, soft, yielding, flowing, and yet nothing is stronger. Lao Tzu said, "Nothing is softer than water, yet nothing can resist it." It gives life, and yet it can drown. We need it, even though it can hurt us. For without it, we can only perish. We can go for about 3 days without water. Isn't that true of community, too? Alone, a single drop dries quickly, and yet a lake can be there for centuries or millennia. We too disperse and regather. We evaporate into our work, our travels, our own private joys and griefs, and then we condense again, flowing back together, drops becoming rivers, carrying us further than we could have ever gone alone. And so today we gather here at the edge of the water once more, casting questions into the deep. InGathering is our reminder that we too are part of this great cycle. Each of us brings something new, stories of joy and struggle, fragments of grief and hope, pieces of our journey that we symbolize, embody, and consecrate into the water that we keep and share from and for our lives. When we pour our waters together, we are saying, this is my story, and it's not just mine. It belongs to all of us. This is just a drop that was once separate, but now it joins back together. And so too do we let our lives mingle and sustain one another in community. The water ritual is symbolic of this, of course. It is the spiritual practice of renewal. It is to ask, what do we bring to the common bowl this year? What will we add to the river of our shared lives? Some bring water of sorrow, needing to be healed. Some bring waters of celebration to be shared in joy. Some bring waters of longing, of searching, of prayer. All of it belongs here together in the bowl. All of it becomes part of that living stream that carries each of us forward. And this is the invitation of InGathering, to trust that the river is greater than any one of us. And that together, we can flow towards the horizon that we cannot yet see. To be the water that sustains, that heals, that persists. To be a community where no one dries alone and where each drop is cherished. So let us come to the bowl. Let us share our waters, our joys, our burdens, our blessings. Into the river we each make today. May it mingle and remind us that though our paths may be many, our journey is shared. So when we gather for this water communion, it isn't just about where we've traveled this summer or what's in the cup. It's about recognizing the deeper truth that the water has always carried, that we belong to each other, that we are sustained by each other, and that we too are mostly water. The water bowl this morning has traveled from the stars through stone and fire into the streams and faucets of our lives, gathered here today to become sacred water for our community, after some boiling, of course. So, as our drops and splashes come together today, we are reminded that the cosmos itself once did, gathered the scattered fragments into a whole, weaving together those separate things into one life-giving something, water. For each of us brings our own journey, our own fragments of that infinite, and together we become the river. Thank you.
And now for our closing words from Elizabeth Lerner McClay. As drops of rain that find each other and build to become a track, a rivulet, a stream, a river, a sea, so are we drawn together. So are we fortunate to find each other. So are we bound together on this shared passage toward an unknown ocean and eternity. Thank you.